Hi there! In this next video we are going to learn how to use an elastic as a propulsion system. Let's get started. The first thing we want to do is strip our balloon car down so now it is just a base car with some wheels. If you remember, when we designed our axle system, we had left our back axle system, we left it with a gap here in the straws, and that's because we're going to use this gap as a place to wind up an elastic. Now, if we could come up with a way to move this axle by winding it, turning it like this, we would move our vehicle forward. See how it's moving forward by turning the axle. But how can we move that axle forward without using our fingers? One way is to attach an elastic to that area. So we're going to attach this elastic here, and let me go ahead and do that now. So I'm going to attach the elastic to the back axle by using a slip knot. So I've taken my elastic and I've put it all the way through, and I'm going to slip one end through the other so that it's here. And then I'm going to tighten it. So I'm going to bring these two pieces together and tighten it so it's nice and tight, just like that. And so now I have an elastic attached to my back axle. And you can notice that the elastic is not interfering with the straws, it's not rubbing against the straws. And you can also see that there is clearance for the elastic. So if I was to wind this elastic up by turning it like this, I'm not going to, the wheels are going to be able to move freely like that because the elastic isn't getting stuck in this hole. I've made a deep enough space. And if you find that you don't have a deep enough space, you can always remove this axle and add a few more lifts, a few more pieces of wood to give it more lift. And then the next thing I want to do is I want to connect the front axle. I want to put a peg somewhere up here that I can then stretch the elastic to hook onto here. So I'm going to go and do that now. So I used the glue gun and I attached this peg to the front axle. And I did that because what I want to do now is I want to take the elastic and wrap it over the peg and then wind up the elastic. So I'm going to go and do that now. So you can see here that I have the elastic pretty tight. And if I was to release that, the wheels would unwind like this, right? So it's really my hand that's keeping the elastic from unwinding. And then I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to let it go. Now, do you see what happened there? What happened is that as the elastic unwinds, so let me do that again. If I was to wind it up, wind it up, wind it up, as the elastic came undone, there was so much force that actually the wheels started to spin out. It didn't grip the table at all. It just kind of spun out. And there's a variety of different ways that you might solve that problem. You might think about it similar to when you're trying to run on ice. What happens when you run on ice is that your feet slip and you might be using a lot of energy, but you're not going anywhere because your feet are not gripping the ice. So we might think about, is there a way, right now I have a wood table and wood wheels. Is there a way to fix that so that they are going to move more forward? That would give some friction or some grip to the wheels, as if we could add some sort of surface around doing that. So I'm going to go and I have an idea for that, and I'm going to go try it out now. So my idea is to take my balloon off of my balloon car and cut it, and I'm going to dissect the balloon into cross sections. So here, and then I'm going to, so you have to cut it here, and I'm going to cut it again. So now I'm going to take the balloon and I'm going to stretch it over the back wheels, just like this, to give it a little bit of grip to the back wheel. And I'm going to go ahead and do the other side. So you can see now I have stretched the balloon across both of the back wheels to add some friction, some grip for the wheel movement. Now I'm going to wind up the elastic again and see if that's impacted the performance of the car. Okay, so I have the elastic wound back up. I have the balloons on the back wheels. Let's see how it affects the performance of the vehicle. So what we saw here is that the wheels spun out even though we added some grip. It didn't spin out as much, but it did spin out. Another way that we could prevent the spinning out is to add friction from the top down, meaning that we could add something with weight on top of the vehicle so that when it moves, it's got some extra weight holding it down. And clearly these scissors aren't the right thing, but maybe I'll use a stapler or a cup of some kind, something. By adding weight, it'll add some friction pushing down on the vehicle, which would keep the wheels from spinning out. Okay, so that last one went so fast and it seemed to have a positive effect on the vehicle. Just adding a little bit of weight and some of the balloons on the back tires, it was able to propel the vehicle forward. I want you to experiment a little bit, see what you need to do in order to have your vehicle go far using an elastic as a propulsion system.